So I really love the idea or the concept of an emotional wound. And if you can pinpoint, okay, my character's emotional wound is this. And then as a writer, you've got to press on that emotional wound to give them those challenges that really make them hurt. And then give them the power to overcome that. And that's when you have a really good emotional journey.
Do you think that if a writer is too comfortable, their characters aren't hurting enough?
Yes, I do. Completely. I really don't like I like characters who really bleed on the page. Because if you have and there's a time and a place for those really light and fluffy stories, but it's that connection, I just wanted, like, that real connection, that in on all aspects. I want you to be able to connect with my characters, with the happy, with the sad, with every emotion in between, and in order to do that, you've gotta give your characters that pain and let them feel that pain, and therefore, like, I cried, like, every time I had to write that scene, the scene the accident scene, I was crying every single pass, not even from the beginning all the way to the 30th or 40th edit. I was still anytime I had to delve into that, I was crying, so I think as a writer, if you're not feeling that emotion, that pain that your characters are feeling, that maybe you should consider to make it even harder, make it even worse, find a way to tug at it even more.
That's tough too, because suppose writers have grown up in a culture like ours where you're just kind of supposed to be like, well, bad thing happened, moving on, going to work tomorrow. Here we go. Let's be productive. So I bet writers often end up confronting their own emotional unavailability to the work a lot. How do they push past it?
That is a really tough question, because as a writer, that is one thing that is very, very difficult is being vulnerable, especially when as I'm approaching this publishing stage, because this story has lived on my laptop for my daughter was 3 months old when I started writing it, she's going to be 17 when it's published.
Wow.
So, so, like, that it's very kinda hard for me to put this out in the world because now everybody's reading about my vulnerability and my emotional, not it's not my emotional baggage, but yes, it's the same thing. It's like me being very vulnerable on the page and then putting it out there. And so I think that writers, we just have to be really brave and but and make sure that our focus is on the correct place because if we are focusing on all the negative aspects, all the negative parts of publishing, then we're not going to make it very far. It will drown you. And so I feel like if you focus on those readers that really are transformed by your wound and they become better because of the story that you wrote, they are transformed by the story that you wrote, then you have done your job and it's worth all the emotional pain. It's worth all the things that you have to uncover and reveal about yourself to put into your story because uh that's why story is so important. It helps us learn. I mean, since the very dawn of time, we as people need story. And so I guess that's where it's worth it. I guess for writers who are confronting their emotional demons to write story is to focus on those readers that will be changed by your story, those readers who need your story. If you would maintain your focus on that, then you can overcome mountain.